One of the most transformative things that can happen when we decide to share our work with the world is being able to become better leaders and learn how to enroll people in our vision, whether it's clients, whether it's team members, whether it's collaborators, sponsors. And in today's episode, I'm going to share the strategies for effective influence and positive leadership that can translate into enrolling people in your vision and ultimately growing your business from a place of service and integrity. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Musicians Creating Prosperity podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Fabiana, and in today's episode, we're going to talk about the power of influence and how we need to step into becoming better leaders, better communicators, to be able to help people share our vision and enroll in our mission, whether these are clients, whether these are collaborators, sponsors, even our friends and family members around us. Our ability to communicate the value of what we believe in and the value of our work is going to make or break our ability to grow our businesses. So let's dive in. In today's episode, we're going to talk about, first of all, why leadership is so important when it comes to enrolling people in our vision. And not only throughout sales conversations, enrollment conversations, but in every area of our lives, our ability to communicate the why behind what we're doing and the why behind what we're asking from others is going to help build the context for people to understand our perspective. You see, when you want to enroll people in your vision, and let's talk about it in the context of a sales conversation, when you are potentially trying to enroll people into your program, into your services, offers, products, whatever you're offering to the market, it's very easy to get yourself into a place of hesitancy and skepticism and perhaps fear about getting rejected, fear of rejection, fear of people saying no to you. And the idea of having to handle a rejection or an objection, as it's commonly referred to in the sales world, is very important that you understand how to manage that and that you don't let that throw you off center and totally get you out of alignment. And the reason why I'm sharing this episode is because I speak with so many musicians who come to me with concerns about like their potential clients not being able to work with them because of lack of finances, and just they're concerned about, how can I create a premium program, a premium price point, and people can't afford my services? What do I do when people can't afford it? And it's very easy to jump right into assumptions about people saying no because they just can't afford it. But I want to encourage you through this episode to explore that usually when people say no, there's many layers that need to be uncovered to actually understand what is the real reason that they're saying no to. And so in today's episode, I want to empower you to really understand that there are different reasons why people say no to things. And when you are having conversations, enrolling people in your vision, enrolling people in the solution that you want to share with them, specifically in the context of enrollment conversations, potential clients, students, whoever you're trying to bring into your program, it'll be important that we make three distinctions of types of rejections, types of objections, and be able to understand when we have a conversation with someone, what is the reason that they're saying no to us? And how can we uncover and handle and help this person navigate their insecurities or limiting beliefs that may be holding them back? And the reason why it's important that you address this from a place of service and a place of leadership is because at the end of the day, the whole reason why you want to influence someone, if you believe you can really help that person, the whole reason why you want to inspire and empower that person to take the next step is so that you can fully help them, isn't it? It is not just so that you can have a selfish gain out of someone. It's about you fully being able to serve that person. And if you cannot enroll that person in your vision and then help this person see what's possible for them through your work, then that person is going to stay stuck. So let's start by establishing the reason why you want to be good at leadership, good at influence, good at communication. It's so that you can help people in a greater way. Okay. Now, when people face resistance, there's many types of resistance categories. And typically when you are trying to enroll someone in your vision, if you follow all of the podcast episodes and the trainings and everything that I teach in this movement of musicians creating prosperity, you're going to be thinking about enrolling someone into some sort of a result, a transformation through a process, right? You're going to have some sort of a system, a framework that you can help people go through in order to solve their problem, whether it's improving on their musicianship skills, whether it's learning how to overcome performance-related anxiety, or maybe recovering from a performance-related injury, or learning how to find managers in their careers, or find performance venues, or produce and record and release music, whatever it is that your offer consists of. At the end of the day, you're going to have a step-by-step process, right? You want to have a system that can take them to that solution. So typically, if you have someone that says no to you, one of the reasons why they may say no is because they don't believe in your system. They generally don't believe that your process is what they want or that your process can help them get results. And that is a legitimate reason why someone would just not be interested in working with you. They just don't trust the process that you're laying out for them. And so that's important to be able to differentiate from not having resources or not having security in themselves, all these other things that we're going to unpack in today's episode. So let's establish that this is usually called a vehicle objection. Like this is an objection that has to do with your system, the vehicle through which you're trying to guide them. They don't believe in it. So that's one type of reason why people would say no. And you need to be able to address that, right? If that comes up, you need to be able to better educate the person. You need to be able to explain what is it about your vehicle, your process that can truly change their lives. Maybe they're not understanding part of it. And you need to be able to address, oh, okay, this is a process objection. The second category is going to be an internal objection. It is their own doubt. It is their own lack of confidence in their own ability to follow through. Perhaps they've thought many, many times before about doing this or creating some sort of a result through something similar, or they've even tried with other people to achieve that result that you're offering, and they haven't received the results that they wanted, or they haven't succeeded. Maybe they've given up. Maybe they've disappointed themselves. And so when we talk about internal objections, we're talking about, having a lack of belief in themselves, having a lack of certainty and belief that they can follow through with the process. Even if they believe in the process, they may not believe in themselves. And that's something that we're going to talk about, how to help overcome that. Usually that's only going to be overcome through action taking, not through just trying to explain and convince and persuade. This is the only way that a lack of internal belief can be overcome, in my perspective, is by taking action and seeing little by little the steps unfold. But of course, you need to have the right mentorship, the right guide, the right system to follow, right? But let's talk about it one at a time. So we talked about the vehicle objection, right? The process objection. Now we're talking about the internal objection, and being able to recognize that it's not about anything else than just lack of belief in themselves, and helping them in many ways forgive themselves for having let themselves down in the past, or maybe tried other things that didn't work. That's going to be important in this process of helping navigate that internal objection. And then there's external objections. External objections have to do with trying to look for external reasons why they wouldn't want to take action. And there's three primary categories that are part of this external objection kind of bucket, if you will. And these are really typical to be put into like external reasons why someone wouldn't want to move forward with you. But I actually believe that these external objections in many ways serve as a shield, like as a scapegoat. They're not real objections, because if the person truly wants to do this and they want to work with you, they're going to find a way to overcome those external objections. So in a way, I kind of put a quotation under that third category of objections, which is external objections can often become excuse objections. And here's why. The main three reasons why people use external objections have to do with time, lack of time. They just don't have time to do this. Lack of money. They don't have the resources, or that they have to have someone else approve their decision or buy into their decision, support them, and in a way be part of the decision, like a spouse or someone else. So those three categories ultimately are always going to be adjusted and modified based on their internal, like their conviction, their desire to actually do this, and their decision-making capabilities. So let's break them down one at a time. When it comes to time, we will always create time for what we value. And if you can help the person you're speaking to understand that time is always going to be based on priorities, and rather than thinking, I don't have time, you can say, this is not a priority for me right now, I am not willing to make the time, then at least you're going to be able to have a real, honest answer to why this person is using time as an external excuse to not taking action with you. But it's never going to be that they don't have time. And you as a leader need to be aware of that. Otherwise, you're going to buy into their own excuses as well, right? Those three things, time, money, and spouse, are always going to be subject to interpretation and to ultimately the decision capabilities of the person, because We make time for what matters. And I have a ton of other episodes talking about time management, time control, time mastery. So you can absolutely look into so many of my episodes in my podcast around why I believe so strongly about that. But for the purposes of this episode, time is going to come down to our perception of value. If you value something, you're going to make the time for it, even if it's little by little. Like I know when I started my online business, I did not have the time. I generally did not have the time. I had a full-time university tenure track position. I had a 5-year-old son and a newborn, right? So I had all the reasons to say, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to learn how to build my online brand. I'm not going to start something because I'm busy. But yet I knew that if I kept going the way I was going, I was never going to improve my situation. So this became a priority. The idea of restructuring my life, opening my online business, creating a different way of working became a priority. So I carved out 30 minutes to an hour a day, and I was able to start my business in that small, like short time constraint because it became a priority. Same thing happens with resources, money. I don't have money. Your clients are going to say they don't have money, they can't afford it. And I'm going to empower you to recognize that just like time, if we value the result of what we're going to get, we're going to find a way to access the resources. We're going to restructure our finances. We're going to look for other ways and maybe even look for payment options, payment plans. Try to find a way to piece things together, because if they're really aware of the value that your service will provide, they'll create the resources. They'll find a way to access them because they're going to understand that that is going to ultimately pay off in so many more ways and improve their lives and help them save time. Premium buyers, they value their time more than anything, and they're going to invest to win back their time. Cost buyers are only looking for ways to just save money, even if it comes at the expense of their time. Cost buyers don't care to spend hours and hours and years of their lives doing things on their own or whatever just to save money. They don't want to delegate. They don't want to bring in team members. They're always trying to just hold it on themselves, but that's going to keep them stuck. So understanding how to communicate the value of what you do and helping your potential client become a version of themselves that is going to make decisions out of a place of like premium mindset, premium buyers, value-based buyers. They're also referred to as value-based buyers, people who understand the value of what you're getting, not just caught up by the cost of what it takes to get that result. That's going to help you be able to address people who initially may want to use the excuse of not having the resources, but eventually it's not about that. It's just that they need to be reframed into what's the value of what you're offering and whether or not it's worth it for them to restructure what they have and to find a way to access it. And then finally, the spouse or anyone else that needs to be consulted in terms of making a decision, you're going to always want to be very strategic in helping your potential client understand that ultimately they can make a decision and enroll their spouse or anyone else, their significant other, in the decision that they made versus thinking that they have to make a decision with someone else and they cannot decide unless that other person has the decision for them. There's a difference, right? Between needing someone to give you permission to do it versus making a decision to want to do something and then enrolling whoever needs to be a part of that decision and being able to share that vision and that hope and that faith with your significant other. And so when you have someone that says that they need to ask their spouse, my recommendation is always try to have a conversation with the decision maker. So if this person is wants to make a decision with their spouse, have the spouse join the conversation, invite them to a second call, have them listen to the entire plan that you can propose to them so that they can both have all the information together, make a decision with all the information. Because the worst thing that can happen is that you speak with someone and after you explain everything, you lay out a plan, you flesh it all out. Then the person says, okay, great. Now I have to go talk to my spouse and explain to my spouse everything and expect my spouse to understand. And then not only to understand, but to be all in and to support me in this decision. That usually does not end well, if you know what I mean. Simply because the spouse does not have enough information to even make an informed decision. And it's almost unfair to have a spouse be put in a position where they have to decide on such an important decision without having all of the background, the context, the information that the primary client has. So my recommendation is when you come to those three external excuse objections of time, money, and spouse, you need to be prepared to address those. And you want to be able to handle those ideally in the beginning of your conversations and understand is like, how do you make decisions? Is there someone else that is going to make a decision with you when it comes to investing in yourself, in your musical career, in your studies, and whatever it is that you're selling? How do you make decisions? And if there is someone that needs to be a part of a decision, then go ahead and welcome them, invite them to have a conversation together. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself very defeated when after going through the full plan and sharing everything with someone, then they say, okay, now I have to go and get someone else to see and approve this decision. So ultimately, these are hopefully strategies that are going to show you how, if you preemptively understand the reasons why people say no to you, and you can learn to handle those and ideally pre handle them in the beginning of your conversation, meaning understanding what are their like resources, what does their time look like. If someone is telling you they're maxed out on time, being able to understand, are you willing to put some time? If you could follow a step by step strategy to solve this problem, would this make sense for you to carve out the time, right? These are all very important questions. Same thing with the resources and same thing with the spouse. You can address those issues not at the end of the conversation. You can address them at the beginning of the conversation by finding out where they stand regarding those three things. Are you married? Do you have someone else in your life? All these things at the beginning of a conversation will show you whether or not you are going to find yourself in a position where someone needs to have someone else in the decision or not. And then that's how you can preemptively prepare the conversation. If you are right now having a hard time enrolling clients into your offer, and this doesn't mean that you can never offer some discounts or price deductions or offer like deals or even free opportunities, scholarship opportunities, you can absolutely do that. Listen, you can do whatever you want. Like, you are your own boss. You can do this in any way that feels good to you. And I've certainly done all sorts of like arrangements and exceptions and Frankenstein pieces together, deals and all sorts of things in my career. But you don't want to default to that as the first plan of action. When someone says no to you, it's too tempting to just say, okay, let me just charge you half off, right? And just slash the price out. And if it's not a financial, genuine financial constraint, then you're just going to be cutting your costs and lowering your price point and devaluing your work, when in fact perhaps there was a different reason why the person really couldn't start. Maybe they have doubts about themselves. Maybe they don't believe in your process. Maybe they need to have someone else be in the decision with them. There's so many reasons why you want to be strategic and not just lower your price to try to help people make the decision, but instead learn to master your communications and leadership and sales techniques to be able to ultimately help your client take that step and step into a place of empowerment and belief, and ultimately make the decision that will be the best decision for them. Yes, you will benefit from that, of course, because you are a business owner and there's no shame in needing and wanting to be compensated for your talent, for your expertise, for your life's worth of work, of course. But this is ultimately, truly, the biggest difference is going to be made on the client. Because whether that person says yes or no to you, you're going to have other clients to be able to offer your services very soon. That's not going to have like a major difference in your life. However, for that client, their life will be changed forever, whether or not they get to work with you. And you want to be able to approach these conversations from this place of unattachment, non-expectations, non-neediness, truly knowing that you're always going to be advocating for what's best for your client. So learn to manage objections, learn to handle the difficult and perhaps sometimes uncomfortable moments in enrollment conversations, in leadership conversations. And I hope that this episode gives you some specific pointers into how to approach these conversations without a place of fear, without anxiety, and instead learning that how the more you become a good communicator, the better you'll be able to enroll people in your vision. And again, whether these are people coming into your program or sponsors or leaders, your ability to be a great and inspiring communicator that influences people from a place of service, from a place of integrity, it can absolutely change your life. Even as a parent, let me tell you, one of the best parts about learning about influence and communication and sales for me has been being able to be a better mom. Because let me tell you, my 10-year-old son and my 5-year-old son, they are hardcore negotiators. So even as a parent, you're going to want to benefit from being good at communicating your point of view and enrolling people in your vision. So I encourage you to approach this without getting too much, too caught up on it, not too much pressure, but definitely ask yourself, how could you improve your communication skills? What are the ways in which you could optimize your ability to handle rejection, handle resistance in sales calls and enrollment conversations? And of course, if you're interested in seeing how we could support you in improving your skills and optimizing your ability to be a leader, to communicate the value of your work, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to have a conversation with either myself or a member of my team. There's going to be a link below this episode where you can book a call. I'd love to talk to you and help you investigate. Perhaps that may be the reason why you may be struggling to get people to enroll in your program, not because it's too expensive, not because it's too innovative, but simply because you haven't yet mastered your communication skills and you need more coaching, more training on improving your ability to lead, your ability to influence. And ultimately, that is going to help you become a better, more magnetic thought leader and overall human being. So I hope you reach out. I hope this helps you. Let me know your takeaways. And of course, if this episode and any of our episodes are helping you, leave us a review. I would love to get your input and feedback so that we can reach more musicians around the world. Go ahead and leave us a review. And I would love to connect with you. If you need anything else, you know where to find us. Until next time, let's prosper together.